Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your friend Bats. My name is Jared. That's my boy Carl. And this is Amazing Spider-Man number 12, Legacy number 976, written by Joe Kelly and interior art by Ed McGuinness, which was a nice treat for me because Ed McGuinness is one of my all-time favorite comic book artists. So it's cool, and I haven't really read any of his work in a long time. So it was neat to see his style change and his refine, and for a guy who's best known for drawing really, really big muscular dudes, for him to draw characters like Spider-Boy and a regular sized Spider-Man was cool to see. And for him to go from, when I think of his art, I think of Superman. It's a little bit of Batman, but to go from the guy who is just massively muscular and flying all over the place to a very Superman is a very stoic character, solid, very stout character, where Spider-Man is very bendy. It was neat to see him draw a bendy character, which is different, because even the few times he drew Nightwing, he didn't draw Nightwing very flexible, and maybe that was his style then, or he hadn't quite, I don't know, I want to say advanced as an artist, but his art is just, I was just like, wow, this is Ed McGuinness when I saw this, and I was just like, oh, he's very belongs on Spider-Man, and just that in itself is a whole lot of life, lots of movement, and that's really good for Spider-Man. The fantastic stuff. I really dug it. And it kind of was like, okay, yeah, that feels more Ed McGuinness-y, and so does this. And but it doesn't, it's very different from what I'm used to when I think of Ed McGuinness. I could see it's him, and it's nice. The story overall, I did enjoy. I thought it was cool to see Hobgoblin and Green Goblin in their civvies, and having this moment of oh, you try to screw me, I'm gonna screw you kind of moments, and that was neat. But really, when there's the Spider-Man bits were just really cool to look at, and it was fun. Well, I don't know, fun, but it was neat to see the history of Norman Osborn, and in that same kind of vein that Joe Kelly has been writing with Peter, with his loving parents. Now we're doing it for Norman, but he has abusive parents, and it's kind of made him the psycho that he was, and so I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, and we're doing the flashbacks in black and white, so it keeps that continuity. And this scene was just really, really cool. But this is where I kind of realized, I was like, there's no Amazing Spider-Man in my Amazing Spider-Man. And look at this. Ed McGuinness is just a master of his craft. And definitely I'm going to have to buy 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, because Ed McGuinness is the artist now. I'm looking forward to reading that. Even I've heard a lot of negative opinions of it and bad reviews of that, of Zeb Wells, or no, that's Joe Kelly. That's Joe Kelly's run before the end of volume 6, but I've heard bad things about it. But I'm definitely going to read it for Ed McGuinness. And yeah, this scene was just awesome. Norman fighting all the different spider folk, and seeing kind of his flashbacks and his inner monologue, it made him this darker version of the character. And then we have these flashbacks of Gwen Stacy, and how Gwen Stacy still haunts him. And that was kind of neat. It's interesting. And I don't know, because this is the only Spider title, and Marvel title for that matter, that I read. I'm not sure if this is Gwen from alternate timeline Gwen, who is Spider-Gwen, or did Gwen get resurrected at some point and she's now the ghost spider? I have no idea. But it is what it is. And I thought it was like, as I finished this issue, I'm like, oh, we're going to do a Spider Slayer story? Okay. As I finished this issue, I was like, oh, I realize what they're doing here. And so, does it show the next one? Oh, it's back here. Yeah, so I realized they were going to have Peter in space stories on the odd numbers and have Norman in New York on the even numbers. And I'm like, I can live with that. It's like 2 Spider-Man books, 2 different Spider books in the same book. And, you know, it's probably going to have a big story that leads into 1000. So I'm looking forward to that. So overall, I you know, momentarily I was disappointed that there was no Amazing Spider-Man in my Amazing Spider-Man. But then I realized what was happening once I finished the issue. And I was like, oh, okay, this is they're splitting Spider-Man into 2 thing that they talked about. So, but overall, it was a really cool issue. One of my favorite comic book artists of all time on the issue. So that makes it a slam dunk for me. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.